Came to a point where Willie phoned me, my gaffer at Torrance, and he says to me, "Look, son, you're going to need to pick what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You work here or you work for yourself." I'd be picturing the fleet of vans, and I'd be picturing the office and the yard, and it became difficult when I had achieved that.
Yeah. In this episode, we have Ryan Marshall from Essence Roofing.
Actually, one of my best mates, he still worked there when I had left, and he was saying to me, the guys were talking, they were saying, "Oh, you heard Ryan's not getting any work and all that," and with that mentality, it kind of shows their insecurities, you know what I mean? Because it's probably something that they've wanted to do. It's my opinion, but if you want to grow a business and scale it, you need to make sure that you've got the mindset to do it.
Hi guys, welcome to Taylor Talks Trades. I'm your host, Jamie Taylor. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to hit subscribe so you can help us grow the channel and bring you more episodes like this one. In this episode, we have Ryan Marshall from Essence Roofing. He takes us on his journey from being an apprentice roofer all the way through to having a business that runs without him, and how he's now teaching others to do the same with his consultancy business, Trade Wizard. Let's get into the show. Hi Ryan, welcome to Taylor Talks Trades, mate.
How you doing, Jamie? Thanks for having me on.
No worries, bud. I'll just go back to the start where I always go. How did you get into the trades then?
So, for about 14, I was at work with my old man. He's a self-employed roughcaster, so he was, and I'd be out at the school holidays, the weekends, doing the sort of labouring work, sort of the donkey work, do you know what I mean? I was doing all these kind of hacking off the walls, cleaning up the jobs, just a lot of hard graft, and I suppose for about a young age, I kind of always knew I kind of actually wanted to be in the building trade, and when I was at school, just wasn't really for me. I never really seen myself going down to university, doing that route. So when I left school, it was kind of a bad time, to be honest with you, when I left school, because my mum and dad were working kind of through a divorce. So the natural progression, I thought, was to leave school, work with my dad, but you just couldn't sort of financially crippled him, do you know what I mean? So he couldn't afford to take me on as an apprentice, and he actually just couldn't even afford to take me on at all. So he said to me, be a roofer. There's always work in roofing. There's good money in roofing. And so I took his advice on it, Jamie. So I mean, I was like, right, I'm just going to go knocking doors, sending out emails. And I finally got an apprenticeship. It took me about 6 months. I ran with a company called Torrance Roofing and Building Services. And they were a great company in their day. And they went out of business this year, unfortunately. But that was my way in. So it was.
It's interesting. A lot of people have got the sort of, I didn't know it was going to be for me or that, but it sounds as though like you actually liked the graft and you were thinking,
no, I
always wanted to go right into that.
Always wanted to do it, and my dad, he's a one-man band, self-employed roughcaster, but he's done well, do you know what I mean? I always looked at my dad and thought he's been a successful guy, do you know what I mean? And I want a bit of that, and I've got some of our family that are in the trade, and they'd made good lives for themselves, so I kind of looked at school and I thought, I'm not academic, so I thought, no, I want to be getting into the building game, do you know what I mean? And it was in school, it was kind of like frowned upon, but some of the teachers would say, you're an underachiever and all that, like, you're going to end up in a building site, and
that's a good thing.
I'm looking forward to it, do you know what I mean? I want to get on it, but even when I actually started my apprenticeship, my mum, she was an alcoholic, so she actually passed away like my sort of first year, so that kind of made me want a better life, and it kind of showed me like I need to knuckle down, and if I want better for myself, then this is the time to do it. I've got the apprenticeship, I've kind of got the vision, so I grew up fast, you know what I mean? And I suppose that just gave me the drive to want better and to do better.
So the resilience was like there for the get-go, really.
It was.
It's mad how like the environment shapes us like that as well.
Like it was a bit like my upbringing, you know what I mean? It was a bit chaotic and stuff like that in the house, and I suppose I always wanted better for myself, do you know what I mean? And I feel like I've got that now, do you know what I mean, my family, but I had always had that longer term vision, but when I was an apprentice, I kind of just thought, I've got 4 or 5 years here to just kind of stick in it, work hard, but there's no pressure on me now, because I've just need to do the work, like turn up for work, put in, but there was no, I've got myself in the door here, so just keep the apprenticeship, make sure my gaffer was happy.
And what was your, like during the apprenticeship, what was the things you done that actually made you, well, you're obviously a bit different because you went on, you've started your own business, you've done all this stuff. I'm relating already to think that the the chaos that you could deal with probably was like, because you were used to a chaotic
Aye,
household. It happens to so many people where they're like, chaos is like the default setting, and you're
no,
like,
it was.
business feels like it's burning down this week. That's fine. You should have seen my house
I
when I was a wee
know,
boy.
you definitely end up with thick skin. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
I mean, any business owner will tell you, you need thick skin. If
Yeah.
you've no go with it, you're probably not going to last long.
Aye,
So.
you're in the wrong place.
Aye.
But aye, in terms of apprenticeship and that, what was the kind of key points there for just
At Torrance, what do you mean key points?
just in terms of like what were you doing different for other apprentices? Was there anything that actually set you apart? Like you're saying you had this vision. What was that vision?
Like
Did you want to just excel as best as you possibly could?
The willingness to learn, the willingness to actually be interested in what the tradesmen were doing, asking, my tradesmen, like, how do you do that? Oh, can I get a shot? Can I do that next time? And just being keen, do you know what I mean? And showing an interest in the job and being proud of actually having an apprenticeship and being a roofer. I took like great pride in it. And we took on our first female apprentice this week. I actually said I wasn't taking on any more apprentices now just because of I don't know if you've seen my rants.
I was seeing that you've backtracked now. You'll be getting pelters for that.
I know, but it's the way she came about, applying for the job. She sent a nice email into the business, and then she followed up with a phone call, and she actually said, I'll come out and work for nothing. Like, I mean, we would never let anybody work for free.
Only for a couple of months.
Yeah, fully. But no, just showing how good our attitude is in the face of it, and the willingness to come out. So I was like, get it in, and so I suppose just being keen and being proud of your job. That was kind of me. And a lot of apprentices maybe just they're maybe not there. They maybe just they're maybe more worried about their wage.
Yep.
Like, the money's shite. Like, I was just kind of like, I know I'm going to, like, it's hard at the time.
It's a great opportunity.
Aye.
It's a brilliant opportunity.
Aye, and I mean.
Like, I was the same as you. Like, when I got my trade, I was like, this is amazing.
Aye.
Like, this is.
Because I could see the bigger picture, probably.
Like, I've got something new. I want to, like, grab onto this. And I didn't, I'd be lying if I said, I'm going to start my own business. Like, when I just started my apprenticeship, I didn't probably have that in my mind, but I thought, this is going to take me somewhere.
Aye.
I probably was thinking, like, Australia, you can go abroad with a trade. Like, just, I don't know, like.
I feel like for me,
it's looked down on for some reason, which I just.
I know.
If you didn't apply yourself, it is probably a trade to be looked down on. But if you apply yourself, the
opportunities in the trades, and especially these days, it's a completely different landscape for the way it was maybe 10, 20 years ago, just with social media and networking, and even us here, two roofers, on a podcast together, whereas 20 years ago,
a part of it.
20 years ago, maybe even 10, we'd be driving by in the vans, getting each other dirty looks, you know what I mean? Like, price that job, I should have got that one. But, the kind of old school mentality. See, my old man came a bit like that. Like, when he says, roofers in the local area doing another job, he's like, India, how are you doing that? I'm like, I says, look, focus on yourself.
There's enough for everybody.
Focus on yourself, you know what I mean? You can't win them all. But it's just a sort of the old skill in them, you know what I mean?
And then so like going through the apprenticeship, so did you just do the sort of 4 years?
4 years to college. I mean, to be fair, I think my gaffer played me a wee bit. I mean, because he took me on in the January of 2011, and I was a first year apprentice. I didn't start my first year at college till September 2012.
Right.
So I ended up like on the first year rate for like fucking 3 years or something like that. Like, because I was like 9 months. I was like 18 months before I started my apprenticeship. Right. I started in January, then I go to college to the following year, and then obviously the intakes at the end of the year. Yep. Then I done a full fucking first year, you know what I mean? So I definitely like sacrificed at the time, the sort of that.
My boss did that with me as well. It was like, so I phoned my boss on the Sunday night, my future boss, and I said to him, so I'd been offered this bricklaying job, and then but it was just like, look, you'll come be a brick. It was like 250 quid a week or so at the time, like a lot of money. And then I'd phoned this other guy, he had a roofing business, and he was like, look, if you come out, you've missed the college cut-off date, same as you. But he was like, if you come for a year and prove yourself, I'll put you to college next year. And I was like, this is the chance. I actually want the qualification, and I sacrificed that year as well. And I think it helped, to be honest.
I can see the reasoning behind it, and it does make sense. Like, for example, we took 2 apprentices on maybe like last year, and one of them left like 3-4 weeks ago to work with a plasterer. Because he didn't have that sort of, if we had gave him that kind of year to kind of prove himself, we wouldn't have wasted the actual year putting him through college. So no, I can understand why it's done, and it makes sense. And you know, the roofing trade can be, it's a hard graft, and
Mhm.
especially the winters.
Yeah.
You know, when it's cold or it's pissing down, it's a
I think
hard.
that's how you need to go through it. See, for that, like that, we employ that kind
Mm-hmm.
of strategy now, where it's like if somebody comes in, we'll not always say it needs to be a year, but at least 6 months through
Prove
the winter.
yourself.
So we'll get them in and we'll be like, look, make sure you can stand up a freezing cold scaffold
Aye.
in the piss and rain, like you said, and like
Aye,
if you
that's
enjoy
that's
it,
a.
then this is for you.
I know,
if
I
you
know,
if
I
you
know.
don't,
How
like
can you?
we
I
can't
know.
like because there's no point in saying, oh, by the way, this trade's amazing and it's brilliant, and
Aye.
they come out in the summer and they're like, I love this, and then it gets to winter and they're like, that isn't what I
It's
got
hard.
told.
It is hard grafting. Like, don't get us wrong. With, I mean, obviously, saying my apprenticeship, I was, you know, delighted to have the apprenticeship,
Yeah.
and you know, but I had my good weeks and my bad weeks.
Mm.
You know, there was weeks where I was out in the, you know, pissing rain and it was freezing, and I'm questioning like, is this worth it?
Aye.
And you know, but I suppose having my dad there as well to kind of just be in the back of my head and just tell me, look, stick this out and
Yeah,
stick in and get your trade behind you. And
that's good.
so he would always kind of pick me up when I was done, and kind of just give me the sort of slap across the head or whatever when I needed to just you know, bite my tongue, and because I was oh, maybe go and do this, or I was maybe about this, and he kind of just keep me grounded.
And do you think like it would have worked out different if you had ended up working with your dad? Would you have been able to achieve what you maybe went on to achieve? Or do you think it was better that you had your own sort
I
of,
think the
this is my
way
trade, I'm going to be a wee bit different for you, Dad. You'll give me the
aye,
guidance, but by the way, I'm going to be my
I think
guy.
the way it worked out, it's definitely worked in my favour. I feel like just being away from my dad and not getting kind of, I never got mollycoddled or that, but I just feel like just being out on site with, like, when you start a job, there's probably strangers, isn't there? Do you know what I mean?
It's scary to
You
be
get
fair.
thrown into the deep end and you're with
Aye.
all these, I mean, you're a young boy at a school and you're working with these guys that are, you know, rough and ready and some of them, do you know what I mean? And and getting, you know, up and down the ladders constantly like a
Aye.
blue arse flies, you know what I mean? But
My first week was like in the back of a van, this wee escort van with like slates, and I still saw in the back of it and all of that.
uh,
And it was like, I just turned up to this yard and they were like, oh, you're going with them today. And they were like, right, kid, jump in the back. And I was like, in the back, right. In
I
the
used
back
to
of
get
the
stuck
van.
in the back of the
And
vans as
it was
well.
just
So I
like
did
lying down, rolling about in that. And then I was like, what's going to happen
try to
here?
make
And
a wee like, seat in the corner,
aye.
try to like put a jacket down to sit on and
And
all
they,
that, and kind of
they
just
just take like a corner too quick, and the next minute you're getting hit with like a still saw bundling over the top of you and
I
that. You're
think
like,
it's
this is...
like
But I never knew anything else. So I was like, oh,
I
that's
feel
just normal.
like obviously that just would be a no go these days.
Oh, aye, definitely.
You know, but
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's 2011 I started my apprenticeship, but I mean, was it that long ago? Was
It's
it?
changed a lot. It has changed a
It's,
lot. I think it's a lot more like just, would you call it, welfare?
I just
It's
feel
so
like,
much
see,
better now.
at the time, but like, I was like, I'll jump in the back of the ball.
Aye.
But I just feel like no,
The
like,
world's changed though as well. It's
uh,
like you probably, I don't know.
I feel like
It just has
apprentices
changed.
now would probably tell you to chase yourself if you asked them to go in the
Aye.
back of the
Well,
van.
see, the
Like,
thing is, like you'll probably see it yourself, but like apprentices now, or just like guys in general, they want picked up at the house, dropped off at the house,
aye,
like everything. It's just like
aye,
and because there probably is such a shortage, it's now just that's just expected.
aye.
Pick me up, I'll do what I want. Like,
I
and
suppose as well when it feels like when they get their foot in the door and they get their apprenticeship,
they think that's
so
it.
it's almost like, can I say earlier, like when you get the apprenticeship, you feel like, right, I'm sorted now.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually need to apply yourself as well,
Aye.
or you'll quickly be kind of found out.
And I think that's what I think maybe see having that year as well, like what you had, or that 18 months, like you're actually proving yourself. So
Aye.
then you kind of maybe just can, like, you get the apprenticeship, but you're like, I better like stick at this.
Aye.
I found, I don't know if you had this as well, but when the company I worked for, they were quite a big outfit, to be fair, and it was some going like back then. But they would be quite volatile in terms of, like, you would just come in one week and on the Friday you used to go and pick up your wages. It was just cash in hand and a wee brown
An
envelope.
envelope. Aye.
And like it was 40 hours back at the yard and all of that. And then they would just be like, 6 people would just get let go. Oh, you're no work for you now. Like on the Friday,
Aye,
no
that's
other warning.
completely unheard
And
of
I used
now,
to see
innit?
that and would be like, whoa,
Put the shutters
I
up, yeah.
better. So it
Aye.
actually kept you kind of going a bit.
Aye.
But
Aye, that
I
pressure.
think, like you said as well, like I actually took quite a lot of pride in it. I liked going to college. I actually liked the fact that I'd already been doing it a wee while. So when I got to college and there was people like, they couldn't even hammer a nail in, and I was like, had actually already been on roofs, and I was like, oh, this is good. I've got a wee edge here.
Aye, I mean, even touching on the female apprentice that we took on, before we take on staff, I'll do a wee bit of homework, maybe just Facebook search and kind of see who's coming into work with the business. And I noticed, you know, within like 2 days, she had put in her kind of Facebook bio, she works at, you know, Essence Roofing, and I thought, you know, that's great, and that's You know,
Pride there.
the fact that she's proud to come in and work for the company. Do you know?
Yeah.
I was like, you know, it's hat off to her.
It gives you a bit of what's the word for it? Just a bit of hope, I guess. That it's no, because I've seen you posting on TikTok. Maybe like, here's how not to get an apprenticeship, and it's like,
no,
all right, mate, any jobs?
all right, bro.
Aye, all right, bro. And all
what's
that.
happening? Any jobs? I know.
I know that's hard as well. It's like, it's the same as well when people are like, it's their mum or that, and
aye,
could you give my job? Hey, my son an apprenticeship, and you're like,
aye. But I know when I was applying, I mean, I put on my social media the actual email that I sent to Torrance when I got it, and I mean, it was a pretty good. It was for a 16, 17-year-old. It was a decent enough email.
Yeah.
You know, and I had somebody saying, you know, you need a spell checker on that, and I was like, I mean, that compared to the sort of applications that I'm getting,
All right,
like
bro.
night and day. You know what I mean? But I feel like as well, like how many all right bros is that person sent that? Like how many companies, like, how many people have been approached?
Not even like they're really trying.
I want somebody, like, for example, maybe to look at the business and feel like I would love to work for them. That's a company I want to work for, and actually maybe do a wee bit of research about the company and just show that they want to come in and work. Not just it's just like another company. And I know that when you're looking for a job, of course you're going to be applying, but it's just nice as, I suppose, an employer just to see that, you know, who's wanting to come in and work for you. Maybe it's done a wee bit of homework and they
definitely
they want to come in and
we've had that sometimes in like the interview process where our team will be like, oh, they were saying like they've seen your podcast and blah blah blah, and they were quite interested. They seemed keen as in, and I'm like, oh, that's good, because at least I've tried to do
and it makes
something.
you sort of kind of like your pride. Makes you proud as well. You know that, you know, God, there's somebody wanting to come in, they want to actually work here, rather than somebody that's kind of just made a kind of a half attempt at, you know, applying.
They probably just, their mum probably just shouted at them.
Saying like,
you better get a job. Like, all right, bro, I'm going to really need to get one.
Man, we thought a bit of messages, you know, these guys today. You know what I mean? It's this Facebook.
I've applied to 16 jobs.
And it's like a Facebook DM or it's like one on TikTok, and it's like, I mean, at least go to the company website and get an email.
But I know as well, like, if anybody was sort of listening to this and going, oh, that's a bit harsh on today's youth or whatever, like, you've put some good stuff out there to say, here's what you should do. Like, put a good email. Like, the perfect example is that female apprentice that's came in. Like, she's took the good steps.
I mean, I said I wasn't taking on anything, I've seen the effort.
So like, it's changed your mind on it, which is, so you obviously done something right.
It can be difficult as an employer as well, actually, you know, gain the opportunities out, do you know what I mean? So, suppose like it's nice to just get a wee bit back, and even if that is in the application process, just showing the willingness to come in.
Definitely. What's so you're going through the apprenticeship and everything. When did it start to become a thought process that you would start up your own thing? How did that all come about? What was the?
I think that like I always had that in my sort of head, Jamie. Like when my dad being self-employed, and then had, you know, family members who had their own kind of businesses as well, in the trade. And they had, like I said, touched on earlier, they had done well, and I always wanted a bit of that. And I just feel like the type of person I'm as well, like, I don't take a telling to too well, do you know what I mean? I kind of like to be my own man, and I just feel like that was a natural step for me, was to, and I started my business young, you know, I was 23, I know you're quite young yourself.
I think I was about the same, maybe 22.
I mean, it's young.
Just coming on 23.
It's young, because even if I had a tradesman coming into, you know, my business at 22, 23, I'd be like, how good are they really going to be? Because I've not had that experience. And that worried me at the time when I went out to, I suppose, when I went to work for myself, you know, am I good enough yet? You know, but I was just like, you know, if I know guys there that if I'm going to struggle with it, and I can, you know, give them my phone and give me a hand at the weekend to get me, you know, buy it, and that I maybe was past my skill set at that point.
That's all the stuff I done as well, because, like, to be honest, you're not ready at 22, 23, really. Like you're not even, like, nowadays 22, 23 is probably the tradesmen now are a lot younger. I would say, just probably because they weren't in the back of the van, they weren't getting like the conditions were different there. I think we had to fight a wee bit harder.
I feel like with my apprenticeship as well, like we done a lot of like factor work in Glasgow, and I would serve like a lot of my time like cleaning gutters out and doing tile repairs, and in terms of actually getting experience of doing re-roofs, and, you know, just there wasn't a lot of that, but there'd be a lot of maintenance works. And I feel like when I went to kind of work for myself, the sort of work I was getting was different, you know. So it was definitely a learning curve, but it was just like I said, if I did struggle with it, and I would get somebody to help me, or, you know, I would find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so.
I think that sink or swim
Mhm.
like mentality is just
Aye.
the way to do it. I've probably put that on my LinkedIn a few times or on
Mhm.
socials, just saying about like people try to get apprentices. I think that's what makes apprentices, to be
Aye.
honest. And then even you just go into the next bit and you're like, right, that's me.
I
I'm into the
remember
deep
like
end
I
again.
used to have like the anxiety about like installing a Velux window because with
Aye.
torrents I never got the chance to fit one.
I
And I
had
remember I actually got like a job and I had like it was like 3 Veluxes to had to fit, but they weren't on a pitched roof. They were on like a fucking it was like a vertical
aye.
panel.
Yep.
I was like, I mean, I know
I've
what I mean.
never done this
Aye.
before.
But no, like I said, I just got my old tradesman out to help me, and once I had done a couple of them, I was of age. You know what I mean?
You've just got to try things, eh?
Yes,
I think
like,
as long as you've got the integrity as well, like,
mhm.
do you know, if you're like, right, I'm going to fit this. If I get it wrong, I'll just need to go back and fix it. Or,
Aye, I suppose like as long as you can get somebody out, if you're not sure, if you can just get somebody out to help you,
you
that is,
can't
you know,
just
you're,
cowboy it,
aye,
basically.
exactly.
As long as you're not just going to go, oh, wing it and that'll be fine, and you
Aye.
just accept it as being fine.
Yeah.
That's like naive, eh? But
Uh-huh.
I think if, like, I remember even back, just like the first, like, kind of early jobs I got, it was like 2 full roofs today and 2 full houses in rough
Mhm.
casting, and I was like, I've never done that on mine before.
Aye.
I
I
just
know.
like I'd done bits like with my old employer, but I was a wee bit like you. Like a lot of the stuff I'd done, especially towards the end of my time there, was like I was going up to like Aberdeen and doing loads of like maintenance work, and it
Mhm.
was like just loads of volume and all like wee repairs, and I was even doing a wee bit of like kind of surveying and estimating
Aye.
and that, and it was like, do you know, we were just doing the surveys and putting the photos back to the office. So I was like,
I think if you've got like a good
proper
if you've
deep
got
end.
a good network, then you can do it.
Aye, definitely.
Anything in the trade, like we don't do a lot of kind of like sheet kind of commercial roofing
Yep.
as such, and we done kind of one of our first projects this year, and I remember looking at it when we had the full roof was off. All room it was just a structure. There was no roof at all. And I was like, and I've seen the finished product, and I'm like, well, smashed that. Do you know what I mean? And it's just again just getting the guys in that
The right
you know,
people to do
playing everybody
the
at
job.
their strengths. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody's got their strengths and their weaknesses.
Yeah.
But like, aye, it shouldn't really phase anybody. Just as long as you know the right people that can come in and help you when you need it, and eventually you'll pick up, you know, whatever you need to. And that's how I sort of grew, I suppose, to take on bigger jobs and being more confident in doing it.
And was it just a plunge? Like, did you saved some money? Had you done anything, or were you just like, right, I'm just going for it, and I'll just need to see what happens?
It was quite strategic, so it was. So I said I always had the vision, you know what I mean? I worked for myself, and I suppose it came to a point with Torrance. I'd worked there for about 7 years, 7.5 years, something like that. And I was just at a point, Jamie, where like I was kind of going out every weekend and just like just drinking and stuff like that, and I kind of got myself into a bad place where my head was up my arse and wasn't really feeling too good about myself. And I was like, you know, I really need to change something here, you know, like get my finger out. And so I started to plan for Essence, and it started with just notes on my phone. You know, I had noted down different company names and you know what I liked, and you know, I picked one, and I was like, right, and I'd go and get the logo made, and then this is all we working with Torrance at the same time, and I get the website made, the Facebook page made, and so that was in kind of like January 2017, and the process, I kind of sold my BMW. I had the wee 1 Series. I kind of get rid of that. I had a wee bit of equity in the car. Put that into a van. Got it sign written. Then I had like there was a company called Google Vision. I got like an Essence ad to drive about like the city centre of it, and this get back to my gaffer, you know, and he's like,
"Oh, was this before you'd left?"
I was still with Torrance, so I was like priming the company before I left. I was like, if I'm leaving a full-time job here, I really need to make sure I'm covering my wage. That's only like 350 quid a week, so I was like, if I get like 1 or 2 jobs a week, I can make that back. But I started building Essence while I was working with Torrance, and you know, my gaffer was like, Ryan, I've just been sent a photo, and it's like there's this big lorry driving about the city centre with like Essence on it. Is that your company? And I was like, aye, it's just a like hang for homers, you know what I mean? And he's like, hang for homers, you know, and then eventually he'd see the van, and he was like, you can't park that van near your yard and all that. You're going to need to. And I understood. He was right.
He was right.
He was right, but you know,
but you think in your head, you're like, you're just looking after yourself. You're like,
understood when he said, and I was like, no, I know, Wally. I was like, so it ended up I was getting picked up for work. You know,
a thing for homers. It's like the big Google Vision van going down Glasgow.
It cost you like 600 quid at the time. That's only on like 300 a week, so it was like 2 weeks' wages. And so had like the website built, all the social media, had uniforms, had the van. And then it came to a point where Willie phoned me, my gaffer at Torrance, and he says to me, look, son, you're going to need to pick what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You work here or you work for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sound about it, do you know, and I understood, and I kind of already knew by that point that obviously built the company at a certain point, you know. I was like, well, I'm kind of committed now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I'm going to make the leap then, I'm going to go for myself. And he was like, no, I wish you all the best, son. And I was like, well, you get any advice for me? And he's like, aye, just make sure you get paid, make sure you get your money. And that was it. It was August 2017. I went out myself, so I did a wee bit of work. Like I said, I'd primed the company up to a certain point.
That's quite good, actually.
It wasn't like, didn't have like weeks of work. I'd maybe had like a job on that week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go out and like do one job that week. I'd do two, and then in my spare time, I'd be doing like putting leaflets through doors and like a Facebook post. And I feel like when you put that energy out to sort of call it the universe, you start to attract it. You know,
put a ripple out into it.
It starts to come back to you, you know, and then the next minute your phone's gone, and you're like, oh, this is great, you know. And
then all these like you step into a new world essentially, because now you've went for I had a secure job there to like you're actually got a different outlook on life, because you're now every opportunity's I could maybe work for them, or
exactly.
Like it just your mindset just changes.
When you put yourself out there, you know, you'll get it. You know, it'll come back to you, you know, in its own way. So I just done a few jobs a week here and there, and I eventually I remember I always wanted to target my first re-roof. That was the first. You probably know yourself when you start your own business. It's like I can't wait to get that first re-roof. That would be the first kind of big milestone. And when we got that, I had took on a roofer at the time, and remember doing the first roof, and I was like, you know, I wish I just had more to keep him on. You know, I wish I had another roof in the pipeline. And then I would start to think about, oh man, I wish I had like 5 re-roofs. And then before I knew it, it did obviously took time, but before I knew it, I had a pipeline of work, and you know, I had 2 or 3 guys working for me, and I just kind of natural growth.
It sounds quite similar to what I was doing. It was just our story's very similar, even with like the law of attraction type stuff. I'm quite big on that.
Yeah, so am I.
It's like, and I think that's where that vision bit comes for as well, because it's almost like you're tapping into something else. And even sometimes, like I've got a vision, but it's not necessarily it's a set 100% is this specific thing. It can just sometimes be a vision to do better. I just know I'm going to
see something I've kind of struggled with, Jamie. It's like, so I used to be like really big on the law of attraction, and it was when I was building Essence, and I would like, when I'd go to sleep at night, I'd closing my eyes and I'd be thinking of vans. Thinking I didn't have them at the time. I had maybe one van at the time. I'd be picturing the fleet of vans, and I would be picturing the office and the yard and what it would maybe look like. And it was like all I'd think about, you know, I was so driven, and I feel that it became difficult when I had achieved that. And it was like, and I didn't expect to achieve it so fast. I thought, you know, maybe I'll have all the vans in the office when I'm maybe like, you know, later in life, you know, it's going to take me, you know, 20 years to get there. But you know, it came a lot quicker than I thought it would, and I suppose it's been hard trying to map out the next part, because for so much in my life, I was so committed to getting that, achieving that goal, and that's what I was kind of driven to do. And once you do that, it's like,
because that can take, like, some companies haven't achieved that in like 50 years. Like roofing companies, you know, they've been gone 50 years and they'll just never.
It's like my dad, you know what I mean? Like, he's a self-employed rough-caster. He's done well, but he's never really grew a business at it. It's been like he's created a job for himself. It's a good paying job for him. You know, he's done well, but it was to achieve it as fast. I didn't expect that, and then I suppose just trying to see what the future looks like, because you know what I thought it would look like, I've already kind of like achieved that.
It's
you know,
quite fast tracked. I know it makes a lot of sense, and I think like you almost like run out a runway a wee bit actually, and you're like, what could?
You're trying to map out the next, you know, the next phase, the next part, and what does it look like?
I did a thing, and it was like, so like when I very similar to yourself, but it was all kind of law of attraction type stuff, and I was like, what I put out will come back, and I was trying to build these visions, and I would get my big whiteboard and I'd draw up, and like, I don't know if you ever took any inspirational for anybody, but like a big one for me was like Charlie Mullins, and like he'd grew Pimlico Plumbers, and it was like this big premises that was like 10 times the size of what he needed.
I've watched a good bit. What's your podcast with Charlie Mullins?
And then he had like hundreds of vans, all branded, all sign written, and they were just like all branded uniforms, and I was like, so seeing that, I was like,
it's possible.
Wow. And then I always think of Jim Rohn. He always said, first question you've got to ask, is it possible? Then you go and look, somebody else has done it, it's possible.
Is that the older fella?
Aye.
I think I've seen him on like
Aye.
social media a
He's
few
quite
times.
good. And then
Aye.
so he says, is it possible? And then I looked at Charlie Mullins, I went, aye, he's done it. And then, is it possible for me? And I'm like, well, it must be.
Aye.
Like, why would it not be? And then it's like, you decide that, I guess. And then that, like, I sort of kind of did that. But I would relate to you in the sense as well. It's like you have all the vans, you have the good reputation, you've got the premises, you kind of
you grow into it as
you get
well.
to a
like,
point where you go, what is the, like, how do you find those next steps?
When you're taking the next steps, like something that's just a kind of taking the leap of faith. You know, it can be a calculated leap of faith sometimes. Like, I was talking to a client with Trade Wizard on Monday night, and he was questioning, whether he should put another van on the road. And I kind of said to him, look, you've got the work there. He says, I can guarantee you, if you buy that van, you're not going to have it sitting empty. You're not going to have that van sitting outside, your house for a period of time. You'll make sure
you'll find a way.
You'll get a bum on that seat. What I mean? That van will be working.
Whereas if he doesn't take the van, then he can't fill the van.
It doesn't get filled and it doesn't grow.
And then the thing, like, everything just stays the same.
Aye,
so you sometimes have to put the wee stone into the pond for the ripples to kind of take effect.
100%.
Like what you did with the, right, I'm leaving my full-time job, I'm gone now. Like, more work comes because you're actually looking at things through a different
you're attracting a different sort of energy, aren't you? So
I was going to say there, I did when I was talking about that personal development stuff. I don't know if I think you said you had heard of Grant Cardone. I followed quite a bit of his stuff. He actually came over to Scotland in 2018, and it was like a 2-day seminar that was on. It was pretty good, actually. And I read his book, like the 10X Rule. And at that point, like, I basically was just did that exercise. I was like, right, if this is my business here, what would that look 10 times the size? And then I was like, if I've got this amount of vans now and I made it 10 times the size, and this amount of offices and I had 10 times the offices.
I feel like it's hard to, like, implement that consistency, because it's all right to, like, think about something like that for like a week. But trying to think about that, have that mentality for months on end, and think that can be the difficult point, because it's easy to have like you have a bad day at work, and you're not thinking 10x, you're thinking about just trying to keep the lights on,
shutting your eyes at night, hope this changes.
On the covers of your head.
But what I was basically saying, and how I relate to you is I achieved the 10x. Like, it's probably like the 300 grand to 3 million, say it was like roughly. It was like, I achieved that, and then now the 10x is like 3 million to 30 million, and I'm like, oh, that's a whole other journey. That's
a different beast.
And I think once you've took so many hits to get to that bit, it's a wee bit like, didn't really want to be really failing now and gone for, like, and it's probably anybody I work with, like with my consultancy, and you'll be the same with Trade Wizard. It's like, I would be saying to them, 10x, do it, like, and on them tough days, go and look at the vision and remember yourself. Like, this is why you started. This is why you're doing it. You didn't do it to stay small.
That's it. And even with the Trade Wizard, one of the first kind of modules is mindset and leadership. And it's, if you actually do want to, it's my opinion, but if you want to grow a business and scale it, you need to make sure that you've got the mindset to do it.
A business can only grow to the size of the mindset.
You're rudderless, you know what I mean? Like, what are you actually growing to? Are you just, winging it and buying stuff for the sake of it, or do you actually have a longer term vision and plan that you're trying to achieve? And that's what I touched on, like, because I've achieved that, it's kind of like, it's like you said, maybe I should implement the 10x, you know what I mean? But
that's
it's just trying to map out the next.
And it's like, because your advice to anybody would be do that, and my advice would be the same, but then try to tell yourself, right, you're going for 30 million, then you're a wee bit like, oh, I don't know. It's crazy.
I think it's because
it's a comfort zone, mate. It totally is.
And you'll know how difficult it is to get to, the stage. It's, you lick a lot of your wounds along the way, you know what I mean? It's pick yourself up, and it's hard. And when you think about 10x in it for where you're now, you think, it's
how it was probably what the 10x took the last time, like you said. Like, I remember, like, there was like, I think it was like 5 years in a row where I didn't go on holiday with my family. Like, I sent my missus and my kids away, and I was like, look, I can't leave this business if I'm out of it. Like, the machine was like getting so big at that time. It was like, if I come out of this, I'll collapse. Because we'd went to, I know you're just back from Florida there as well. We did Florida in 2017, and when I came back, like, the business was nearly under. Like,
I think I seen your LinkedIn post about that. I know, it's
probably asking somebody for some help or something.
I feel like with most business owners, when they get away on holiday, unless you need to really have the right systems and sort of structure and processes there to come back and make sure you're not putting out any fires.
And that's like, you're teaching people to do that now. I do that in my consultancy, but it's like, I'd rather have something that's sustainable that's built to last on the team that I've got there. But, and this comfort zone now, like you'll be the same. Like you've been away to Florida there, your business would have ran without you, and that's like, think how long it's took to get to that point. It's probably fear of being like, what if I go for this 10x and then actually 5 years with no holiday again? Like you couldn't imagine being there again.
It's a big commitment, so it is.
I think it's just a case of, like we spoke about it probably off air, but it's like there's no. It's not like it's a massive difficult puzzle to solve like the roofing one. It's like for Essence, they're either gone into the other areas or Taylor Roofs has gone into the other areas. And it's just literally like or you're going into other services. Like
so sometimes it can be like a natural progression, and it doesn't matter whether you're still a guy, you know, that's on the tools and trying to grow. As long as you can sort of, I suppose, see the next step, you know, you can, like with Essence, for me, when I was growing it was like, right, I'm on the tools, how can I get off the tools here? And obviously that was like, well, I need to actually build a team first. You know, even though it's a small team, you know, as long as I can fill maybe a van or two here, I can step back and get an estimator role, and then you get the estimator role, and you need an office manager here now, you know, and you can kind of just see the
next bit appears,
you just put all the wee pieces into the puzzle, you know, and the next minute you've got a kind of bigger puzzle, and you're like, right, where's the next piece?
It's some journey, and I think that's why, like, I'm quite driven to like help other like trades business owners with it as well. Is that you're like, I couldn't imagine no having done it as well, even though it's as hard it is. And like, see, when you mentioned like your dad, I'm like, sometimes you think of that, you're like, just being that one guy, Ken, he's probably always had a bit of money about him. He's always can do what he wants, lives within his means. But
I think my dad probably like achieved, like, my mum and dad was for Casamilk, so they didn't have a pot to piss in growing up.
So he done his 10x.
He done his 10x, 100%. You know what I mean? Awesome. Because for where he came from, and you know, I said he's not well off or anything, but he's, you know, his mortgage is paid off now, and he's got a nice wee kind of detached bungalow, semi-detached bungalow, and he's comfortable. He's comfortable now.
I
mean, it's been hard to get there, but but like I said, he's probably done his 10x, and I suppose it's like when you achieve it, it's kind of just try to go again, which can be the sort of difficult part. And I suppose when you achieve something you'd worked so long to achieve, it's just wow, like what's the next steps?
Definitely. What's so where's Essence at now then? Because we didn't really touch on it, but you were obviously getting into that kind of growth mindset of, right, you came off the tools, you went into the sort of being like the salesman of your own business sort of thing.
Kind of wore all the hats.
Grew that, and then office manager comes in, and then like, so where's it in its current form? Like, what's it doing? So what's your kind of role?
You might have seen I kind of stepped down as managing director this year, and I've got Paul there, who's the managing director, and I've had Paul's been with me since, I think Paul's with you before he came.
Paul worked with us for a bit,
aye. So
good guy.
Paul came to work with Essence. I didn't know him personally or anything like that, and it was funny how we actually met. He's trying to sell me slates on Facebook. You know, he messaged me like, a picture of like his garden hut.
Probably my slates.
Just you're not getting them back. But he messaged me, you want to buy these slates and stuff like that, and I was like, no. And then we just get chatting, you know. And then I said to him, "You want to come out and work with us?" And he was like, "Aye." And then we kind of also just sorted out kind of money and stuff like that. But he came out and just went for there, you know. We were on the tools together. It was me, Paul, Big Steph, and you know, the right people around me. And you can say that I probably got a bit lucky, but I think I also need to say like how I've managed to keep these guys and work with these guys for so long, but building the relationships with them. And because it's once you get the right people in, it's great, but it's actually try to keep them. And but Essence probably wouldn't be in the position it's in the day without, you know, people like Paul and, you know, Steph and my staff who's been with me for a long time. And I certainly helped with the growth, you know, he'd be on the tools, and I knew that having guys like, you know, Paul and Steph there, I could trust them to carry out the installs while done the estimating. And then eventually, you know, the bigger team, and maybe I'm like, Paul, you're going to need to do the sort of estimating surveying side, and I'm going to kind of just do a bit more overseeing and kind of strategize the sort of next steps. And I just wearing all the hats all the way up, and then taking, you know, those people with you as well.
And then what's so where are we in this current form? What's the sort of chairman role been like? Has that been a bit of like, it must feel a bit different, kind of
see,
just stepping
Jamie,
back? But
it doesn't, and the reason is because I probably unofficially had this role for the best part of like well over a year or two. So it was just sort of making it official. making it official and kind of just putting it out there. So it's my day to day is not really much different. Paul's sort of probably already been in that MD role for quite some time, and it just felt like with Trade Wizard it was the right time to actually say, like, let's like put a title on it, let's put it out there. And so we've got Paul, kind of managing director, I've got the office manager, office assistants, Stephen the estimator, I've got Barry the operations manager. So that's the back end of the business office, and then I've obviously got myself who just oversees it. Sort of me and Paul are always in communication, every day we're speaking to Paul and we're figuring out the next steps, where we are with work, how the finances are, cash flow, etc. And Paul's the sort of filter, I suppose, so I'll kind of speak to Paul, we'll have a chat, and whatever kind of we come to the decision, then Paul kind of put that out to the business.
It's like I don't know if you've ever seen like the sort of visionary and integrator type process, but it's like, you've always in a business got like a visionary and then somebody to integrate it, and that's sort of like that role that you've now
I feel like when you're running a business, the size that Essence has got to, I feel like if you're in the firing line every day, you just couldn't be, it would just be too much. And sometimes I would find myself when I was in the office, I wouldn't get any work done because I would just be either talking to my staff, or I would be like dealing with maybe a complaint, or just and they want to speak to one of the directors, and I've actually done nothing today, nothing. So I felt like I was better to kind of pull myself out of that environment and sort of just again focus on growing the company.
That makes a lot of sense. And what is sort of next then? What's the...
So it's, do we grow the company further? We're obviously at this stage we're about 2 million turnover. So, do we grow it further? That's obviously with Trade Wizard. I'm kind of focusing on that now.
Yeah.
That had been in the pipeline. I obviously started on TikTok, making, I never ever thought I'd be making TikTok videos, but here we are, in the last year, with the kind of vision of having Trade Wizard and, helping other business owners. So I suppose right now it's just Essence is ticking over nicely. Question whether once Trade Wizard is, on its feet and running nicely and the guys are getting results, do we go back to Essence and then kind of start to strategize the next kind of growth stages? But I think for now, just focusing on Trade Wizard, letting Paul and the team kind of take care of Essence and let that it runs like a kind of well-oiled machine. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do need to put a rocket up it, you know what I mean? But
that's natural, and that's why
we're talking about the summertime for roofers. I feel like in the summer, every year I've always seen just a downturn in inquiries and just business in general. But luckily enough, you've booked jobs in from months prior where you're booked up, 3-4 months in advance.
Everybody thinks like roofers are like coining it in the summer, but it never works out that way. I always find everybody's on holiday. It's like meant to be like it's the nicest weather, right? We'll get a good run at this, and it's always like it seems to be one of our biggest downturns. And then the phones kind of dry up a wee bit because people's maybe on holiday doing different things. But I've noticed every year, like August, September just goes crazy because everybody's like, oh, I want the roof fixed before Christmas. So and then you've got that Christmas deadline. It must be done before Christmas, and it's an illusion. But
I feel like obviously the winter months are definitely the sort of busier, probably more profitable months. But I also feel like it's hard when you get those storms and people say, you must be pulling in. You think it's hard to get to them when you've already got work booked in.
Yeah, I agree.
You're already booked in 3-4 months ahead, and you've got somebody's roof that's leaking and they need it fixed.
And they want you there straight away, or like you're no good.
And that's when it becomes a kind of logistical issue where you're like, you're wanting to help people, and obviously maybe the jobs get a good bottom line in it, and I suppose you just need to adapt. You can't do them all. You know what I mean? But it's
just communication and that. Really, like that storm at the start of the year, that was crazy. Chaos. That was absolutely crazy. Like I think our phones actually packed in. Like I think it just blew up.
I had to turn my sort of. I was running like Google Guaranteed at that time, and like I think we had like a £500 budget a week, and it was like the £500 was like getting used every day. I was
we were the same. I was like, we need to do something here.
I just turned it off. I was like, this needs to go off.
But it's one of them. It's like. It almost comes down to I don't know if it was before we started the podcast we were talking about kind of niches, like you were saying you were maybe like 50% homeowner, 50% commercial. I'm probably about 90% homeowner, 10% commercial, And it's like these different kind of niches. It's like I've seen there is some roofing companies that are kind of like reactive maintenance,
Uh-huh.
and then they struggle when there's no storm or there's no bad weather,
Aye.
but then they'll like really be ready when a storm
Aye.
hits.
That's exactly what we're
Whereas
talking about,
whereas
you
we're
know.
on the other side where you're kind of got planned,
Aye.
proactive work. It's
Mhm.
all booked in. You've gave people dates, and then this storm just comes in, and you're like, "There's nowhere to put any of that work."
Aye. The only
It's
way to do
difficult.
it is to, you know, sometimes phone up customers and explain the storm. And, you know, if they're not an emergency,
Mhm.
some customers are understanding and they're maybe happy to move their job
Yeah,
back a week. But then you've got the logistical issue. You move one job back, it kicks another 10 back.
yeah.
You know,
So sometimes as well, like people think it's an emergency, but it's actually no. Like
aye.
it's
You
you
go
know
out and
a
it's
bit of the
just,
roof has blew off, but it's no as bad as what
aye,
they might think. So
I
it's
just panic.
we ended up just changing our process quite a bit. Is like people were sending in as in
Mhm.
photos. We were pricing for the photos to say, look, this is probably
Aye.
just because we just couldn't get the
So we were
estimators.
we were the exact same. And actually, one of our commercial clients, we got a bit of backlash for that. You know,
Really?
they gave us it like, you know, why are you pricing this price off a photo? You know what? And I was like, you know, we were inundated. Like
Yeah,
we were just wasn't
couldn't
caught.
get
I
it to
know I said
anybody.
no roofing company, but could I took on every inquiry that they received.
Mhm.
You would have needed. I mean, I just don't think there's like any roofing companies that size. You know what I mean?
No.
It was crazy. It's probably the
It was.
busiest sort
There'll
of
be people
time.
still just busy with it now. Like
Aye.
I can imagine, like the amount we were busy with it, and I see like our volume, and then you know, like I could only imagine what like the one man kind of bands are like. They must be like still doing it
Aye.
all
I suppose it
because
depends how.
people will maybe wait for them, but
Mhm.
then they maybe didn't get to as many people. They probably their phone can probably only take
I
so
suppose
much a day,
it
and
really
then
does depend how well established the business is and how
mm,
easy the customers can find them. Do you know? Because if they're a one man band and they're maybe only kind of relying on word of mouth, I
yeah,
probably did get quite a few leads off it.
that
But
like for that couple of weeks, but then
aye, but
it
if
was missing after that.
mhm. But you know, if you're online and you know customers can find you, then that's
Yeah.
when it gets really
Uh,
chaotic. Aye.
what was the kind of idea behind Trade Wizard then? What was the sort of drive for that? Just
I suppose for
helping kind of trades business owners
aye, and
get out of that bit you've been in kind of thing.
I suppose for me as well, Jamie, I was kind of struggling with what the kind of next step was for me, is you
Mhm.
know, like personally, like obviously I had Essence and Essence was doing well, but you know, I always felt like I wanted to open another business and be doing something a wee bit different for just running a roofing company.
Mhm.
And I suppose with the consultancy and helping, you know, other business owners kind of do what I've done and achieve the same, it sort of felt like a kind of natural sort of a move and a sort of a job that I can be, you know, passionate about and really help people
Mhm.
and work with them for, you know, results. And I suppose just thinking, you know, that sounds like something that I can really get myself motivated for.
Mhm.
It gets me sort of, you know, buzzing about it
Yeah.
again and it kind of lights the fire back in me.
Aye.
You know, whereas with Essence, I feel like kind of got to a point where I wasn't as passionate about the
Mhm.
business. You know, I've been in the roofing trade since I was, you know, I said 16, 17. You know, I'd actually, I say the roofing trade, but me in the building game in general, I did it with my dad when I was like 14,
14, yeah.
labouring and doing stuff at weekends and school holidays. So yeah, I'm 31 now, so you're over half my life committed to the
Mhm.
building trade in the same game. And of course, the consultancy is still sort of in the trade.
But it's different, aye. It's different
It's
because
different.
you're working different muscles in your brain as well,
Aye.
and like what I've found with it is that you end up doing it's one thing, but then
Uh-huh.
actually having the ability to remember what you've done and then teach somebody else, it actually makes your learnings a lot better as well,
Aye.
doesn't it? Because you're like, somebody's asking you a question, you're like, oh, what did I do with that again? And that's probably where documenting it all and actually
Uh-huh.
having like the system or whatever it is there is makes a
Mhm.
difference. Because I think sometimes as well, like when the longer you go on the journey, like you kind of forget the start a wee bit. And
Aye.
it's like, and you've got a different
Uh-huh.
perspective. Like you're looking at it now and you're like, oh, wasn't it that bad? But
Mhm.
like really at the time when you probably stepped away for your job, it was like, that was probably like panic stations in a way. Do
Because
you know,
I
it's
do look back and getting off the tools, and I feel like I kind of it wasn't really difficult for me to get off the tools. I just feel a lot of guys struggle with
yeah.
like I'll touch on like another client within the consultancy. Like he was saying, you know, I can't get my guys. They'll not do the job as good as me. I kind of say to him, look, like 90% of tradesmen you bring into your business, are they going to do it to your standards because it's no their business at the end of
Hmm.
the day. There will be, you know, 10% of guys there, you know, maybe every 1 in 10 that comes through will do it to your standards. But I
Hmm.
say sometimes you kind of need to let go of that perfectionist. You know, it's and to scale a business, you really need to do. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
but he kind of struggled with the kind of delegation
Yeah.
aspect. And I suppose it's just when you're growing a business, you need to sort of let go a bit
That's why it's all mindset, really.
Uh-huh.
Like you spoke about that being your first module, like it is mindset because you've got to lay down an identity.
Aye.
I remember being like going into merchants when I was just kind of first coming off the tools, but I was still kind of running about doing everything. So I was like off the tools, but I was very much like putting the guys out in the morning, picking up some materials,
Aye.
dropping it off, going to a survey, doing the quote
Aye.
later on, like just doing everything. And I remember going into the merchants and meeting guys that like, so they were like self-employed, kind of a couple of them own the tools, just like they were never really going to grow the business basically. But I'd worked with them like at my previous company, and they were like, "Oh, you're a lazy bastard," and that, like that you off the tools and that now. And I'm like, you kind of like it can infiltrate you a wee bit, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. And then like I'm speaking to my dad, like my dad was in the trades as well. He did like concrete floors and all of that. He very similar to what your dad was like. I just thought I would go and work with him, but he was like, no, like get a trade. Like,
I feel like
trade and
with
do that.
guys, with that mentality, it kind of shows their insecurities. You know what I mean? Because it's probably something that they've wanted to do. And you know, I had it when I left Torrance with certain guys that worked there, and actually one of my best mates, you know, he still worked there when I had left, and he was saying to me, you know, the guys were talking and they were saying, "Oh, you heard Ryan's not getting any work and all that," and he's saying, just
that drives you though, eh?
it was just nonsense, Jamie. It wasn't even true. Do you know what I mean? And I was just like, they're just guys are like, he was, you know, passing that kind of rumour about, and I was like,
it's just people just like small mindset.
It's somebody's kind of showing their own insecurities, and I find that a lot on social media as well. With you know the comment section, listen, it is a good laugh at times. You know, I said I've got thick skin, so I'm just like with my wife. I'm just laughing.
I want to get your mate on this this podcast, the bunny guy.
Oh,
we need to get Bugs Bunny on. Like,
I know, but he's brilliant for engagement. Because I put a video.
And I know you that will only be affecting you. Eh?
So I just laugh. I'm like that. My wife, Kayla, I'm like, there's Bugs Bunny back again, and we're just laughing.
It's hilarious. You're like, all right, Bugs, and like, I actually think it's you've got to be like that though, because the thing is, the price you put in yourself out there is being disliked. Half of the population's not going to like you, and half probably will. It's just the way it goes.
Especially when you're showing. Maybe try to show people that what's possible, and you know, showing that like you can do this.
Yeah.
And some people don't like it because maybe they're not there.
It triggers people. It does trigger people.
But that one guy, Bugs Bunny, he commented last night on the video, one of them, and his comment is I think it had 54 replies when I got up this morning. You know,
get in and have a look.
So the sort of engagement that you know those sort of comments can drive, and you know he's arguing with. You know, other people in the comments section.
What his motives are with that, if he's just bored and that's what he does.
I think he's definitely like an older guy because, and I think, you know, he must like a few beers because, and his stories are always changing, do you know what I mean? So I done like for hitting the 10,000 followers, I thought I had come spare away some tickets that I thought I'm going to do a wee giveaway here. It was a milestone that I had targeted for a while. It felt like a good achievement, you know.
Because it's not easy to get.
I just felt like for somebody like me as well, like, Jamie, I'm not a natural like guy on camera. I never really I'm a tradesman, you know, and it's kind of like yourself. You need to kind of grow into it.
Like this stuff. Even this is like I'm nearly 100 episodes in, but it's like it's you're out your comfort zone. Like we are tradesmen at heart, really.
So it was, you know, it was a big achievement for me hitting the 10. I thought I'd go and celebrate it and give something back. You know, get a bit of engagement as well. Happy days, everybody's happy. And that guy commented again, and he was like, you know, I've been reporting you to the gambling ombudsman. You know, this is illegal, and I've worked in with the gambling commission for how many years. Then last night he's saying that he'd sold a roofing company for 18.5 million, and then and so you know that the guy's just
he's actually playing the game though, eh? And like that'll probably be like people will actually be like, oh, it's changing each skin. People will be invested in that.
He must be getting a good laugh out of it. He must be getting a good laugh out of it as well.
I think it's like we've had a couple, and it's just like, I don't know, it's always like somebody like Turn Up Heat or something, no profile and that, and you're just like, it probably is. I don't know. So I think some people maybe do it as like, it's not their job, but it's their hobby.
I just feel like, weird, like me, Jamie, like even if I scroll past content that I don't like, I still want to comment on it.
It would take a lot to comment.
Like I would just, even if I like, listen, no everybody's going to like me. That's fine. You know what I mean? That's just the way the world is. It's like if I'm scrolling through TikTok and I maybe see somebody that I just don't like their content, I'm not going to comment on it to say like, you know, this, like, why?
Crazy.
But you know, you see so much of it. You know, you see so much, but it's good for engagement. You know, the sort of the bad comments because they help.
It's quite good for you as well. That probably like once you've took it. Like that's it now.
Aye.
Like that. Like you've kind of went through the barrier.
Aye.
Like
Some of the comments they can kind of, it's a good laugh. Some of them they get your back up a
aye.
wee bit, you
I
know.
think it's like it's probably the ones that gets me, the ones that's like nearly like, do you know, it's like got a bit of substance to it, but you're like, no, you've kind of picked that up somewhere and you're kind of saying something that's
Aye.
and it's like it's almost but and then you're wondering like what's other people thinking, but like really it's
Some
just
people
the
are
world
like,
of social media.
they're preying on your downfall as well.
Aye.
So I've had a lot of that, like, you know, comments for just random profiles, like, you know, it's all going to come crashing down and all that. And, you know,
Aye.
and you're just like, well, if it does, at least I tried. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know, I'd rather try and fail than no try at all. So
Exactly.
I just, you know, I just think you do you, I'll do me.
I think like see when I left the company I was with, similar to yourself, it was like I remember like speaking to one of the guys that, like or a couple of the guys that I was still in touch with, and they were like, "Oh, everybody's saying you'll be back in 6 weeks and that." And I was
Aye.
just like, that drove me.
Aye,
I think that drove. I think
100%.
that did give me a bit of drive. Not
Aye.
that I was that bothered because I was like, oh, whatever. Their opinions no that much of a big deal. But I think having that constant, I need to prove myself again, and having that.
It's just the negativity, Jamie. I don't know if sometimes it's the way humans are programmed. You know what I mean? That they don't. I don't know if it's a Scottish thing or, but when people say, you know, guys or, you know, women trying to like grow their businesses or
Mhm.
grow their personal brands, that people that are not doing that, they seem to take offence to it. And I don't
Aye.
know if it's like I says, maybe it's their own
I
insecurities. But
think they maybe wanted it,
well, I see with the
but are
TikTok,
scared to do
like
it.
with the TikTok, I would scroll and I would see like, you know, some guys in TikTok in the trades, and I would be like, brilliant,
Mhm.
you know, that's brilliant. I want to do
Putting
that.
yourself out there, aye.
I want to do that. Do you know what I mean? And then I thought, "Yeah, I'm going to do that. Like,
Aye.
I'm going to do that." And I done it. And I really do enjoy like the kind of content side now. And again, that kind of ties in with the consultancy that can
Yep.
kind of go hand in hand. Also, the more you kind of make the content, the videos, you maybe become a wee bit better at speaking.
Mhm.
And I enjoy it.
All round, it's just good for you. Like
Aye.
it's like there's a lot of times I'll question like why have I even got a podcast? Like I'm a roofing company,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm like, but personally, it's just developed me so much. Like you
Aye.
said, you get a wee bit more confident speaking. You then get like before you know it, you're just getting asked to go and speak at different events, and then you go and
Uh-huh.
do you know you're like,
It's opportunity. You put
aye,
yourself out there.
like
You know,
you've
it's,
again, it's that ripple effect. Like you've got
aye.
to put
Once
something
you
out.
put something out there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it'll come back to you in some
Aye,
shape or form.
aye,
You know what I mean? And it's I was looking back at some of my first videos kind of on TikTok, and I counted with my wife. I was like, how many times did I say eh?
aye. That's
You know,
hard.
and I was like, eh. So I'm just going to say eh, and it was like 11 or 12 times in like a 2 minute video.
Mhm.
And hopefully there's not been too many, you know, on this podcast. But I then compared it to some of my more recent videos, and I was like, you know, my speaking, it's just so much better. And when I'm thinking, I'm kind of using maybe like pause words,
Yep.
like, you know, instead of like, and like
Mhm.
just, and so the personal development side of making the content and putting yourself out there's
It's
good
just
as
like
well.
another trade,
Ah, yeah, it is.
essentially.
It is. It's the
It's like a
same.
4 year apprenticeship in the media world.
Aye.
If you're looking at it like that,
Mhm.
because you're like, right, well, stage one is probably
Aye.
getting in, getting started, seeing what it's all about. Then you start to realise, right, I actually know what I now know
Uh-huh.
what I didn't know.
Because it's like
How am I going
daunting,
to make
you
that
know.
better? And
It's daunting when you're not putting yourself. I remember today my speech for my wedding, like 2 years ago, and I was like so paranoid about doing the speech. I was like, I've never really done public speaking.
yeah,
It's not like public speaking, right? But there's like
it
100,
just
100
feels the
people
same
there,
though.
you know what I
Aye.
mean? And you know, I was like really, really nervous about it. But I feel like if I was to do that, you know, if I was getting married again this year, the speech went decent, but I feel like I'd been a lot more confident in
Aye.
myself. And it just comes with I suppose, the personal development.
It just gets easier, I think, and that's just like it's the same as being. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Is
Mhm.
it's like an apprenticeship. It's
Aye,
like
it is.
because the first year when you start, and then the last year when you're in
You
your
look back in
apprenticeship, you're like, oh, how did I ever get there?
it's probably like when you look back maybe in your first few podcast episodes and then you compare them to the ones that you're putting out now, you think, you know, it's just developed, you know,
yeah.
maybe you're a better host and it's you know, you get better and better,
Aye,
don't
and
you?
then you're always looking like I'm always looking at it. I'm like, how could I change it a wee bit? What should I be doing better? Like I'll kind of I didn't usually tend to ever really watch the episodes back, but once they're getting like I need to approve them. Like I watch the snippets, I watch some bits, and I'm like, but I usually know I'll come away with it going, oh, I should have done this, I should have done
Aye.
that. Like I'm always there's something to learn. Do you know?
I
It's
think it'll
like
always be like that. Like even when I put my wife, man, I'm like, before I put out a 2 minute video, I've made like 5 of them. I'm like, what one's the best? And she's
Aye.
like,
It
why?
shows that you care though.
Aye, but she's like, but they're just the same. I'm like, I know, but I said that in that video, you know, and then I said that, and I'm like, I wish I just said it on the one video, but it's
Aye.
easier said than done.
I think I see that the good thing is about the like, do you know, like we spoke about this before we came on air the day, but like you'll go away for this podcast and you'll be like, oh, I didn't even mention this, didn't even mention that. And it's like the good thing with like, say, like TikTok, like you can just turn up every day and just, oh, I didn't say that yesterday, I'll just say it tomorrow.
Aye.
Like
No,
you can kind of have like quite
Uh-huh.
a rolling kind of thing. Whereas if it's like a podcast as such or whatever, it's like no until you get on the next one you can say the
Aye.
thing again. But I think there's a big part of like you can never probably tell your full story, eh?
It's hard to cram that stage of life into like an hour.
Because you could spend like an
there's-
hour on like the first
Aye.
couple of years really and go, oh well, like, but
Like you said, there's something that, you know, I could maybe want to mention, and it's just not there.
Aye.
And then I, you know, drive up the road and I'm like, oh man, I wish I mentioned that.
Can I come
you know.
back down, we'll just add it in.
Can you edit that in? Aye, so no, there's
Is
definitely.
there anything we haven't covered that you can think of then? No.
I think we're
I think
all
we
good,
kind of went
mate.
through it. We ran
Aye,
through the
aye.
journey. We got the bits and bobs. We kind of seen what gave you the resilience, what gave you the drive,
Mhm.
how you systemised the business, stepped off. You've now found what the next steps are. Getting you, and I think what will probably might happen for you is I think you'll maybe find that passion there, and then well, I'm just surmising who am I to surmise, but like I'm
Aye.
kind of relating to like what I did with the consultancy because I was like I need something different that's
Mhm.
like going to get me up and drive me.
Aye.
But then like when I started doing that, I was like, oh, actually, like I remember
Enjoy it.
when I was teaching people that I remembered how much I loved building my roofing business. I was
Aye.
like, actually, I want to go back and do
It
more
can
of
light
that.
another,
So
it can light another fire in you,
Aye,
and
so
I
you-
suppose that's what the consultancy's done. But you're always needing to kind of light the fires up
you've
inside
just got to
yourself to
take
keep
the
you
chance,
going.
though. Eh? I think that's the
Aye.
big thing. Like your full journey kind of like equates to that. It's like you took a risk here and you just went and did it, and you took a risk here, and at all them points, if you never took that risk, you wouldn't be here.
Life's just full of risks,
And
innit?
like you said, you're only 31, so it's like you've got more ahead. Well, touch wood, you've
Aye,
got
I
more
hope-
ahead of you
I
than
hope-
what's
I hope
behind
so.
you. So
Aye, I hope so.
I wish you all the best, mate.
Aye, no, brilliant.
Thanks for
Jamie.
coming
Thanks
on.
for having
Good
me on.
man.
Cheers, Jamie.
Brilliant, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Well, guys, thank you for watching to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. As always, remember to subscribe and leave a comment down below to let us know what you thought. I'll see you on the next one.